Hello, my name is Angie Monfiletto, and this is my third video journal. In this video, I'm going to be incorporating option 1 of our video journal assignment, which is to reflect on something new that I learned from the class that was new information to me. This video journal is going to talk specifically about the assigned PBS video titled Reimagining Long-Term Care. To begin, the PBS documentary Reimagining Long-Term Care explores the challenges and issues facing the long-term care system within the United States. It addresses the growing demand for care due to an aging population and examines the shortcomings of the current system, including understaffing, insufficient funding, and poor working conditions for caregivers. The documentary highlights innovative models and approaches to long-term care that prioritize dignity, respect, and quality of life for both residents and workers. It emphasizes the need for reform and presents examples of communities and organizations working to reshape long-term care in a more sustainable and humane way. This documentary gave me detailed insight into the world of long-term care and opened my eyes to the many challenges these people have to face. While watching this documentary, the pieces of information that stood out to me the most was new information, is from the very beginning of the video where the narrator explains how 70% of Americans will need long-term care at some point in their lives, but many of these people admit to not properly preparing for it. The narrator continues and explains that many people are unprepared and assume that Medicare will pay for the accumulating expenses, which is simply not the case. In addition to this, Grace Sutherland Smith explains that only 7% of people 50 or older have long-term care insurance. It's very surprising to me that 70% of people will eventually need long-term care, yet only 7% of the population is actively preparing for it by saving or investing in long-term care insurance. This gap suggests a significant lack of awareness or urgency about the financial and personal impact that needing long-term care can have. While the need for care is so common, many people fail to plan ahead, possibly due to the high costs, limited understanding of the options available, or the assumption that they won't need care themselves. This disparity highlights a serious issue in both personal and financial planning and public awareness. This information stood out to me in the PBS documentary because it highlights a major disconnect between the reality of aging and the lack of preparation for it. It made me realize how many individuals are unaware of the importance of planning for long-term care and how this gap can have serious consequences for both individuals and the healthcare system as a whole. This also made me reflect on my own preparedness and the steps I need to take in the future. It's easy to assume that long-term care is something very far off, but seeing that 70% of people will eventually need it made me realize how important it is to actually plan ahead for it. It also made me think about my parents and their own situation. Are they prepared for the possibility of needing care as they age? It's a conversation that I know many of us try to avoid, but the documentary made it very clear that we can't afford to ignore it anymore. It really puts into perspective how crucial it is to start planning now, both for our own future and for the well-being of our own loved ones. In addition to this, Vicki Harris from the documentary, a nursing home administrator, explains how it is the middle class who are at the most risk and who are falling through the cracks of care. She mentions how she now has to take care of her own parents, two middle class individuals, and how they are not able to receive the proper care that they need because of the major expenses of that care that's given. The narrator explains that in Tennessee, the average cost of home health aid is around $21 per hour, which sums up to about $4,000 per month in expenses. Although this is relatively at a lower cost compared to nursing home care, which is around $7,000 per month, it is still very costly and highly unaffordable, especially for income to middle class people like Vicky's parents. This part of the documentary really hit home for me because it brings up the harsh reality that many middle class families face when it comes to long-term care. Hearing Vicki Harris, a nursing home administrator, talk about how she now has to care for her own parents, two middle-class people, made me reflect on the possibility of having to do the same for my own parents one day. I love my parents so deeply, and thinking about the possibility of having to caring for them one day fills me with both concern and determination. I want them to be able to live out the rest of their lives happy, healthy, and as little stress as possible, especially when it comes to their care. This makes me want to do whatever I can to improve the long-term care system so that people like my parents don't have to struggle with the overwhelming financial burden of getting the care that they deserve. In conclusion, the PBS documentary Reimagining Long-Term Care provided me with new insights into the significant gaps in the U.S. healthcare system, especially regarding the financial challenges faced by middle-class families. The information about how 70% of people will need long-term care, but only 7% of people are preparing for it, was very eye-opening and emphasized the need for better planning and awareness. This topic resonated deeply with me as it made me reflect on my own preparedness and the importance of advocating for more affordable and accessible long-term care systems for the well-being of both my parents and future generations. These images are just to show a little bit of long-term care examples and like families and having to take care of your family, either in a nursing home or at-home care. And this is the end of my video journal. I thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you.